do you remember from that election, that famous election that happened in 2008? We're talking, of course, about Barack Obama. Where were you?
I was at University College that I just moved to Toronto a few months earlier. I was in my dorm. What I remember from that night was people streaming out into the quad in tears. The moment seemed so significant, I think, to many of us at the time that it didn't even matter that this was happening in another country. It felt like a generation-defining event. And in retrospect, that was true, but just not in the way that I thought at the time.
You were moved by what was going on.
Absolutely. You know, I think...
Why? Why were you moved? What was so moving about the fact that Barack Obama wins the election in the United States?
Well, I mean, I think the election of America's first black president was a very moving thing to see at the time, and because it felt like it didn't seem possible, so it felt like this kind of vindication of possibility. Also because I'd sort of come of age in the Bush era, and Obama seemed to be a negation of everything, you know, that I'd hated about the Bush era. So the stars all kind of seemed perfectly lined up for a really significant kind of political transformation that I imagined was going to spread, you know, across the world. And instead, you know, I think Obama was a very conservative figure. I don't think he was actually very interested in changing things in any profound way. You know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, we're building a mass movement. As soon as he won the election, you know, the mass movement became, we're packing this up. You can go home, everyone. We're going to go back to the Beltway. We're going to bring back half of, you know, Bill Clinton's cabinet. We're going to bail out all the banks, and we're going to let homeowners sink. And there's a direct line from that to Donald Trump. There absolutely is. So
you don't think he was interested in making change? You think he was all about maintaining the status quo?
He's told us as much in the recent memoir he did. I mean, he's done 3 or 4 memoirs, I think, but A Promised Land, which I reviewed for Current Affairs a few years ago. He's talking, I think, specifically about the Obama administration's response to the financial crisis. And he says that bailing out homeowners or prosecuting bankers would have, and these are his words, he said it would have done violence to the social order. So, you know, if that's how you see the world, I mean, that is, I think, essentially a small c conservative view of the world. And he certainly did not act like somebody who was trying to significantly transform things. I think there's a story that's often told, particularly by people who worked in that administration, that they came in with all these ambitions and then they faced all this obstruction. They certainly did face obstruction, but I don't think that that's the real reason that moment frustrated the hopes for it that so many of us had had.
You know, for a particular generation in this country, there were a lot of people who were hopeful when Justin Trudeau won the election in 2015.
Not me, for the record.
Yeah, but
I was a little older then, a little wiser.
But there were folks who invested a lot in him.
Sure.
And who felt as if he was a change agent. What do you say to those people who become disengaged or who feel as if, you know, and become demoralized because they feel duped?
Yeah.
They feel as if they've been sold a bill of goods, and that these figures, whether it's Obama, whether it's Trudeau, are just these kind of, you know, lightweight liberals.
Yeah. I mean, this to me, it's a really important question. And one of the reasons why I spend so much time writing critically about liberals and about the liberal mainstream is because I think that, you know, the kind of moments we've been talking about, whether it's Obama 2008, whether it's kind of a bit of an ersatz Obama moment like Trudeau 2015, I think that the frustrations people feel when they think they're voting for change, they think they're voting for progress, they think they're basically voting for a social democratic platform of some kind, and then, you know, they get, you know, another round of neoliberalism instead. A lot of people do switch off, right? A lot of people become very cynical about politics. Those disappointments make people more vulnerable, more susceptible to the far right. I think the far right and a lot of what it's selling becomes more intoxicating if you are alienated from the political mainstream. And I think, you know, liberals are not themselves solely responsible for that, but I do think they played a really, really significant role when they've wielded power in creating those kinds of conditions.